speed wall on the left. And this is our starting list. Now, the athletes come out in reverse order. So Mattia, she qualified in last position, so she will be out first. And then as we work our way down the list, Molly Thompson-Smith in position number 9. But don't necessarily think that the athletes coming out first are going to struggle. So often we see the first couple doing really well and sometimes getting into a finals place.
Yeah, that's what's good about the sport. You never know. Like, you could climb out first and you put pressure on the others because you can potentially guess what they've done depending on how long they're on the wall. And if you come out, you can see the quick draws moving sometimes and you're like, oh, okay, I got to get that high.
Yeah, there's a lot to this. And then Janja Garnbret down the bottom, she qualified in first position, so she will climb last. And there is the sun to consider here in this stadium.
Yeah.
Because currently the lead wall is in the sun, and it will be for a while. But people like Janja climbing last, they might get a bit of shade later on.
Yeah, but depending on how long the holds have been in the sun and how hot the sun is, the holds are going to get really warm. And depending on skin, depending on all kind of conditions, it could be actually worse for her.
Absolutely. And skin is something we will talk about a lot during the climbing. So if you're a bit squeamish about skin, tough. We're going to be chatting about it a lot. Here is Mattia Pozzi coming out from Austria. Now, lead climbing involves a rope and a harness. The athletes are tied in and they have to clip the quick draws, which are the pieces of metal hanging off the wall. You can see them dangling down in the middle. You have to clip all the quick draws on the way up, and that keeps the athletes safe and stops them hitting the ground if and when they fall off. Now, Sophia, quite a positive start in terms of crimps here, and one of the reasons that the route setters have done this is because they were aware that this would be in the sun.
Yeah, volumes, when they're warm, just get so much more slippy and there's less friction. And so it's good that they thought of having a good beginning for them, because it will be terrible to just like slip off on the first hole.
Yeah, it's not something we want to see. And you can see Mattia cruising through the bottom part of the route, as expected, really. The meat of this comes in a couple of quick draws time. And there is the quick draw you can see dangling off.
Yeah, and all quick draws need to be clipped. If you miss one, you can be disqualified. Well, you get the points as high as that quick draw was.
And the score now is racking up on the bottom left of your screen. So every hold is numbered. The higher up you get, the higher the number. And you get a 0.1 for a what was the old plus system, which is using a hold.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting that they've changed up the system a bit.
Yeah.
Instead of just putting a plus.
Yeah, I mean, the move towards a decimal system is something that we're going to see more and more, especially as we come towards the Olympics. And it does allow you to just really quickly see who's in the lead by that numerical number. But we're learning it as well as you guys, so bear with us if we make a decimal mistake of some sort.
She just got into the very overhang part of the wall. I don't know if you can really tell on the screen, but it's very steep.
Yeah, kicks up at this point, and this is the first really hard move, this compression-style bump. Just making it look easy.
Yeah, she's looking very good, but she is only halfway through the route.
Yeah, this is it, 15-meter wall, remember, so she's, about halfway into the crux, the hardest part of this route, and you can see cutting loose above the crowd.
And what the route setters like to do to make the route longer is to go into zigzags. So you can see she's traversing a bit over to the right, and then she's going to head back to the left. Oh.
And she does fall in the roof. So Mattia with a score of 19. Her semi-final is done.
I would say 19.1, no?
Yeah, well, this is it. So the judges are the ones who decide on the extra 0.1.
Ah, there it is.
And there is added. Sophia spotted it. So if the athlete uses a hold, and that is defined by, well, you have to go towards the next one, your center of mass, your hands moving towards that. And if the judges deem that to be done, then they will give you that extra score. And that's something that can be appealed by the coaches, and we do see appeals quite often as we watch Mattia's fall there. So
sorry. What I actually heard is that the plus or the 0.1 depends on if the move is possible to, like, if you do a random arm movement just to get that plus, now it doesn't necessarily count anymore. It needs to be really a method that is possible, that could work.
And again, that's such a tricky thing for our judges to make a decision on, isn't it? I don't want to be one of them. I'll just talk about climbing instead.
Yeah, they're going to pay so much attention.
Oh, nightmare for them. Well, Sandra Lettner is out next, another Austrian athlete, just over the border coming into Munich. She enters the stadium, and I love that follow cam from the back coming through.
Yeah, and you can see the call zone. Honestly, the call zone is so cool. You're just like inside the monument, and you've got a nice little breeze coming through, and it's shady, it's cool.
I think there was a wrong name up there on the screen. This is Sandra Lettner. She is now underway on the semi-final. So the women are all climbing the same route, and the top 8 athletes will move through into the finals that will take place later on this evening. So it's a bit of a savage cut, this, I always think. 26 to 8. That's we lose a lot. Sandra quickly through the bottom of the route now. The score will start to tick up on the left.
Yeah, I wonder how warm it is for them climbing in the sun right now, because in the shade it's quite cool, but once you get in the sun, you can feel it hit. It's really the summer sun right now, and for them it must be really hard to also. I think it would get you more tired too, because it's warmer. You got to control your breathing. You got to control your movements.
It's draining, isn't it? If you're out
fingertips might be sweating more.
Well, look, I wanted to talk to you about friction, because this is an important part of climbing. Why is the sun bad for friction? Is it just about the sweat?
I think also just the heat in general. Like, when we talk about good conditions, and also like outdoors too, it's when it's cool and there's like a breeze and it just sticks. And I guess in the sun, I wouldn't really know why, but it just, the holds are warm, and I guess then your hands sweat more, you got to chalk up more, and it just feels more slippery.
Yeah, it is a feeling, isn't it? I mean, climbers are much happier with a beanie on in the snow sometimes for the hardest of routes. It's a strange facet of our sport, that one.
But it's super interesting. I really wonder why.
Scientists out there can let us know. Well, Sandra is into the crux now. This is where we lost Mattia. There's a big move out, and then she'll be wanting to come through into these volumes. That's what she's holding on to with the right hand.
Yeah, what's also difficult in lead is that, as we said before, you need to clip all quick draws, and sometimes you're in really uncomfortable positions to clip, and you're hesitating between, oh, do I do the next move? Potentially the next hold is bad, or do I struggle and try to clip now and lose energy? And it's sometimes hard to understand exactly what you want to do when you're reading the lead route from the ground, because it's so long and you don't necessarily know what all the holds are like.
Yeah, because during the qualification, the athletes get to see a video of the routes. They have more of an idea, but this is an on-site format, so they have to work it out as they go. As you can see, Sandra trying hard now as she slaps left.
So actually that huge big blue volume they've screwed on just makes it even more overhang.
Yeah, the route setters are creating the 3D climbing. So Sandra looking a little disappointed, but it was a good score for her, 24.1. She'll have to wait to see if that will be enough. Let's watch the fall again. So she has the right hand locked in underneath the blue volume, and then this cross through with the left, slapping up to the yellow. She did touch it, but wasn't quite high enough on it.
And also, since it's so overhang, it's getting a lot more physical. So also the arms, not necessarily just the forearms, but the arms are also going to get super tired. So anything powerful and having to like stay physically ready is going to get harder the higher you get up.
So we're beginning to understand our routes. 2 athletes done, and if you're just joining us, welcome to Munich for the European Championships. My name is Matt Groom, I'm here with Sophia Yokoyama, Swiss athlete, YouTube star, climbing extraordinaire, and she's joining me here in the commentary box this morning. Which was a bit of an early wake-up, I have to say.
It was, when you told me what time to meet up, I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah, so
it starts this early?
I thought I'd mention that last, just in case.
But yeah, there's so much going on. They need to really like find time to to place all events and be able for all the spectators to watch at the same time, it's going to be a long day for them.
Wow, Ukrainian athlete Nikita is out on stage. Sorry, Nika is out on stage. Nika Potapova is very, very popular out here on the circuit, and it's great to see Team Ukraine representing here.
Also one of the younger athletes.
Really positive when she's walking around the stadium. Always got a smile for everything, for everyone, which is lovely to see. Nika was competing in the bouldering as well yesterday. She reaches up into the pinch. You can see the thumb working and almost a slip there down low. So often the route setters put in a beginning that is a little bit disconcerting for the athletes, especially on the World Cup circuit.
What they like to do sometimes now at the beginning is really, the move may not necessarily be hard, but like a little run and jump or a toe catch, and you really gotta, even though it may not be hard, there's still like that little voice at the back of your head saying, oh, one's if I slip, one's if I miss, and you get like a 1.
Yeah, it just unsettles them. Usually the beginning isn't hard, it's just designed to frustrate a little bit. Well, Nika doing well though, easily through the first section. She'll be able to breathe now a little bit. She hasn't got a score of 1. She's on 9. And making good work of this crimpy part of the route. Cutting loose with those feet.
It's nice to see also how different lead climbers climb. Some are a lot more static, others are a lot more dynamic and just more flowy. And I feel like it depends also if you're more of a boulder or a lead climber. It could vary.
I always think when you climb, you have that flowy style, that slightly bouncy, dynamic way, and Nika is using the similar kind of method. High heel, though, to get this clip in. Yeah, position, especially the women manage to find with the heels and toes, is incredible, and I know it drives the route setters absolutely crazy because they try their hardest to eliminate these rests, but
what they also love to do is like block crimps so then they don't change hands, but there's always some athletes who still manage to change hands on those tiny crimps, and it's just so impressive.
So Nika is into the hard section, halfway through the route. 16 her score, 24.1 the leader at the moment. Oh, and slaps up and down. Didn't quite look set for that move.
Yeah, that pinch does not look good. I think there's a little screw on, but I really would like to know how overhang that is, but I would say a good 40 degrees.
Yeah, graphically winning said 35, so therefore it would have been increased with the extra volumes on as well.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to get a perspective on it sometimes, but look at the quick draws. That's always a way to tell and how hanging out from the wall they are. And this is some good shots now. So this was the hold that she was on.
Oh, there's a little screw on too. Okay, but still, it's still a terrible hold.
So let's watch this again. Nika flipped the hand into almost a guppy, slapped out right. And the slap out was just a bit rushed, wasn't quite there, but it's to get that 0.1 score.
Yeah, I think matching also would have taken a lot of energy because the hold is really bad, and when you match, you just got to squeeze that much harder with the left hand because the right is barely holding on to anything, and then having to pull off, give all the power you have to go out, that would have made it much harder for her.
So we're beginning to understand the subtleties of this route. No athlete has made it through the roof yet. Next is out Michaela Smetanova from the Czech Republic. Czech Republic athletes with the I was about to say hairband. It's not a hairband, is it? It's a, I don't know what you call that.
Oh, a ribbon?
A ribbon? Hair ribbon? Let's go with that, hair ribbon.
The Akio Noguchi style.
Yes, very true.
Yeah, I remember her having it. It looks so good, and ever since I've seen a lot of athletes wear it too.
Wish I had the hair for it. Can't quite pull that off.
You could buy clips and clip
I could try that, yeah. There's been a lot of interesting hairstyles going on. Team Germany, I know, had a session with the bleach and they've got some interesting hair colours this weekend.
I was on Instagram, and all the stories I would just see people colouring their hair, and it was really nice seeing all the athletes with different hairstyles. We got here Wednesday, and we went to go buy bleach for one of our Swiss athletes, and I bleached his hair in the hotel room.
Excellent. These are the facts I want to know. Forget about the climbing for a sec, it's all about the styles. Michaela, though, is easily through the first part, resting down low. And now, let's talk about time briefly, because there is a clock ticking away on the bottom right of your screen. The athletes have 6 minutes in order to climb the route. And how much does that play a part in this competition? Because rarely we really see athletes being timed out, but it does play a factor, doesn't it?
So, yeah, usually athletes would fall off before having to worry about time, but depending on also if you're a fast climber or a slow climber, time can be really important, because you could be in the middle of the route and with only a minute left and you're like, okay, now I got to start moving fast. Janja almost timed out during qualies and lead when she topped out the lead route. She had like 5 seconds left when she topped. So 6 minutes seems a lot, but can also go really fast, especially when they start doing the zigzag kind of routes, which just make it so much longer.
Yeah, because although it's 15 meters high, adding that zigzag adds quite a few meters to that.
Sure.
Michaela looking good as she enters the compression section. These compression moves are when you can see the athletes getting a bit bunched up. Really physical climbing required, especially on the slopers. It's amazing how thuggy you have to get with those open hand moves. So she's got a high heel. Left hand up, and this is where Nikke came undone.
So here it seems she's going to go straight for the move, instead of matching.
Yeah, look, just a simpler rather than having to do a couple of extra hand movements in that. Could have been a slip, I think.
Yep, a heel slip. That's also what's very delicate about lead climbing is you could be in a really good, comfortable position, have a heel hook, toe hook, and then just all of a sudden your foot goes for no reason, and you could be still feeling so good, so fresh. And unfortunately, that's the end of the comp for you. Especially she's preparing to clip.
Oh.
So she was not expecting it at all.
Yeah, it's good to see a fall like this, because, I mean, climbing is not an extreme sport, but it is quite scary sometimes, and falling like that. And when you have a clip and you've got a lot of slack out, that's kind of a bit of a heart in the mouth moment, isn't it? Yeah,
and especially also for the belayer. He's like giving you slack, and then all of a sudden you slip. You've really got to have those reflexes to pull in the rope, or otherwise run backwards, so then the athlete potentially doesn't fall on the floor. I mean, it rarely ever happens, but it adds
a bit of spice to the sport, isn't it? It's
some suspense.
Yeah. Okay, so next athlete out. Julia Freiser comes out onto the stage. Team Austria really doing well to get so many athletes into the semi-final here this morning.
She's also come back from an injury that she had, so it's cool to see the big objective of the year, and she does well. Hopefully her semis will go well.
It's nice to say a big objective, because this is the event really within the season, isn't it? A lot of people have been gearing up for this.
Yeah, I would say the European Championships and the World Championships, they alternate every year, and that's usually the objective for the athletes. Even though comps continue for the lead climbers after that, it's still, if you win, you're European champion, and it's a title.
It's a big deal, isn't it? World Champs taking place in Bern next year.
Switzerland?
I bet you're excited, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sophia will be in front of her home crowd when that happens.
I can't wait. I'm like, part of myself is like, oh, it's in a year, there's time, but also a year goes by so fast.
Exactly, when you've got a training schedule and cycles and all that, it certainly comes through. So Julia is underway. Nice and steady through the bottom, doesn't make an early mistake.
The crimp section seems to be okay for the athletes up until now.
Yeah, thank goodness. I'm struggling to look at the wall. It's so bright, and the sun is directly shining onto it. But you can see the shadows starting to come down, and they will creep down the wall, improving conditions for the athletes who qualified later on. So it is an advantage, especially here to get a good qualifying score to come out later on.
Yeah, heat-wise, not climbing in the sun is much better.
So Julia starts the physical sequence. Big moves on slopey holds. Gets a high heel and she looks up at the quick draw. That's the quick draw we keep talking about, which you must clip. And you can see there's different lengths to the dog bone that attaches the quick draw to the wall, and that's because the route setters want to avoid rope drag as the athletes go up. And you climb outdoors and you make a bit of a mistake with your clipping sometimes, you can experience rope drag, and it's a horrible thing to have to deal with.
Yeah, imagine you're so close to the top and you have to just, you've got so much power to use to have to clip. It's just a horrible feeling.
Especially through the roof that's been extended.
Oh,
a fall from her.
But she looked very strong. She went statically and just unfortunately missed the hold by a tiny bit.
Yeah, she looks back up at it. Remember, the athletes have never climbed on this route before. They're working it out as they go. And let's have another look at this, because it's hard to see exactly what happened. So she had a drop knee in with the right, pressing her knee against the wall to stabilize herself. Left elbow going up.
Missed the holds.
Hopefully we'll see a closer shot of that right hand. Here it is. So the left is good. Reaches out, and yeah, you're right, underneath it.
Oh,
it was heartbreaking. Tried to reset on it, but she was already falling by that point. Couldn't get that right hand on the yellow crimp. Down she comes. So our camera pans down to the athlete holding area. Sabine van Essen is out next. She makes the walk from that cool chamber. Went the wrong way. And then enters the curtain into our stadium, and the crowds are filtering in slowly here. We had a massive crowd yesterday for the qualifying.
Yeah, the crowd is slowly starting to get bigger. But as we said, it's still quite early. But straight after, there's men bouldering semis, so it's a big schedule, so things need to start earlier. And
yeah, absolutely. You'll be hearing my voice. I'm not sure how long Sophia is going to be with me. Hopefully as long as possible, because as you can tell, she's pretty good at this. But we'll see. And Sabina gets her comp underway. Oh, a little bit shaky at the beginning.
Yeah, what I also find hard with lead routes, I guess also bouldering, is estimating how hard the route is. And especially if you're reading it and you're like, okay, this doesn't seem too bad, and then you get onto the wall and it's much harder than what you were expecting. You really need to adapt yourself on the spot, and you're like, okay, I'm going to have to give a lot more power, and if you can't adapt fast enough, then you could potentially fall off early. And
presumably the opposite as well. If you're trying too hard on the easier section, you burn out.
Yeah, exactly. It's really about adapting, and also speed is important. If you think, okay, this section is hard, you want to try to move as fast as possible, and if you're in an easier section where you could rest, you're like, okay, now I slow down a bit, but it's really hard to do.
It is. I mean, when you think of other sports, let's say running, you get 100 meters, you know what that 100 meters is going to be every time you compete. With this, it can change.
It's always something different. You can never train for one specific thing. You have to just train for everything all at once and be good at everything.
Yeah, and a lot of these athletes are competing in 2 disciplines. So we're watching the lead right now, and the boulder is next to it, which is shorter, more intense routes and climbs without a rope. And that will take place, as Sophia said, the men's semi-final for boulder, about 12 p.m. Sabina is fairly slow through this bottom part, wants to make sure of the moves, kicks out right, gets horizontal as she rests. And now, what has she saved for this middle section of the route? She needs some power in the tank. Up with the right hand. She enters the shadow and she'll be able to breathe a little bit.
Yeah, it's nice that they put crimps at the beginning, but I would say crimps would also be nice in the overhang, but they put on nice big volumes just to make it that much harder and powerful.
Yeah, athletes' finger strength is very important. Oh, hang on. So Sabina goes up with the right, thinks differently of it, drops back down.
I don't know if she's seen the crimp. Oh, she seems to be preparing for that movement. Oh, and she missed it.
It looks like having that toe locked in, it was slightly sort of halting her momentum as she tried to go up there.
And her butt was very low, so compared to using a heel hook, she would have been able to pull on into it more. Her hips would have been closer to a wall, and she would have been able to get higher up. Although here with the toe hook, yeah, her hips are very low, and so she has to just put that much more power to get higher up, and her toe hook, unfortunately, slipped.
So, tricky move for Sabina. She comes down. So that was the big bump up, and you can see setting herself up, rocking, trying to get a bit of momentum and frustration from her as she comes down.
Also, depending on, I guess, height, if you're one of the shorter climbers, I would say toe hook could potentially be better because it gives you just a bit more length. Although if you use a heel hook, you'll lose a bit of height. But that's also something you need to decide on before or on the spot.
So much complexity to this. Yevgenia Kazbekova from Ukraine is out next, onto the stage. Huge reaction from the crowd as she enters the stadium, and immediately her eyes flick upwards to look at the route to come. She gets underway. Uniform matching the blue and yellow on the wall with the holds.
Yeah, it's really cool to be able to see them compete and also do so well. Oh, she completely misses the hold. She doesn't need it.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about, the athletes sometimes being unsettled. And at the moment, Evgenia looks a little bit unsettled out there. She just needs to settle down. Once she's a few draws in, everything just becomes easier for the athletes. Those nerves go away. It's just climbing.
What's also hard in lead compared to boulder is that you don't have like a set time of when you need to be ready, because you don't know how long the climbers are necessarily going to take. So it's very approximate. You say, okay, maybe we do a 4-minute in general time for each climber, and so you will approximately be climbing here. But if a climber doesn't do well or does really well, then it's 6 minutes or it's either 2 minutes, and so you really got to adapt yourself depending on the time too, because you also want to rest before heading out. But if you rest too much, you might be out cold, so then you're unstable at the beginning.
Yeah, all these thoughts are going through their head. And then, of course, they've got to get on the wall and just forget about it, haven't they? And just go climbing. And
exactly.
So that kick out to the right, horizontal again on the wall. And then have a look for this toe move coming up. You know this is a tricky one, a big boost when it comes.
Just getting into the steep section right now. She decided to use a toe hook too instead of a heel hook. She's changed to a heel hook.
So she's read this differently from Sabina.
Yeah, with the heel hook, you can push with the blue and just pull with the heel, although with the toe, it's a lot harder.
So high left heel to get through. That is our scoreboard on the left, you can see. That's the top 3 at the moment. We'll keep you updated with that. Evgenia on 17, her score. Remember, each hold is numbered.
She managed to do the move that everyone was struggling on a bit before.
So some progress here. And after that shaky start, she's really back in the fight here.
So Sandra, who came out second, still has the highest point.
Yeah, there we go. You can see where the athletes fell. So she is in the danger zone. You can see this is the first really tricky section of the route. She's having to battle through it. Has the toe on the right underneath the volume. You can see how awkward that position is, being pushed backwards by the volumes.
She's getting close to where Sandra came off. This is the move.
So this is to go into the provisional lead at the moment. 24 her score.
Oh, she took an extra crimp and she goes statically.
What a performance from her. She slaps up 25 and she goes into the lead. Wonderful climbing from Yevgenia.
So she actually used an extra hold compared to Sandra, who went dynamically. She managed to go statically. But then afterwards she was a bit low for the next move. Oh yeah, she used the foothold as the... How does that work then now?
It's a very good question.
Because before it would be 0.5.
Yeah.
And then the plus for the extra move, I guess now they're using decimals.
Yes, I
How
guess
would a
so.
foothold work?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I will find that out because, yeah, the scoring system has been tweaked for the European champs. It's different if you're watching World Cups compared to what it is now. The judges will get a sheet of paper, a list of the route and of the holds. And sometimes, especially when they go out of sequence, it can be difficult to work out that scoring. And remember, things can go to appeals as well, so this is almost provisional results for the athletes. Things can change after that appeal process. Lynn van der Meer is out onto the stage from the Netherlands, one of the flattest countries in Europe, and yet they have some strong climbers, a good gym scene in the Netherlands.
A lot of hamster training.
If you missed the beginning of the broadcast, hamster training is where the athletes go round and round and round on a spray wall or on a circuit to build up this endurance needed.
Just like a hamster running on the wheel.
It's a brilliant term I hadn't heard before. I'm going to use it all the time now, Sophia.
Maybe it's a French-German term.
It makes sense.
Or maybe it's just a Swiss term that we've used.
All right, she's underway. 2 quick draws clipped. Looks down at her feet briefly. Very precise at the beginning, slow, measured climbing from her. Using the thumb, bumping the hands up. Left again. Easy to read sequences down low.
And once they get higher up, can't see the holds as well. That's why a lot of lead climbers also have their binoculars, so then they can see the holds better and hopefully see if it's good, bad, since they're quite low and the wall is 15 meters high.
I'm surprised that athletes aren't bringing out sort of telescopes at this point. Is there rules of what you can actually bring in terms of how big the binoculars are?
Now you can't use knee pads. They've changed that because there were a lot of knee bars back in the day, and there was even a knee bar for the guys during their qualies, and I read that no knee pads are allowed anymore.
Yeah, I saw that too. And the padding that she has on her right knee, that is an injury prevention or injury management. It's not anything to help with knee bars. Good footwork from her as she works her way through, but this is the tricky move, and she's looking to get a toe or a heel, gets the heel locked.
Yeah, it's nice to see how the athletes adapt on the moment. At first she was thinking of not putting a heel hook, and then she looks at the move and she's like, okay, that potentially won't work. Let's put a heel hook on.
Yeah, she had to tweak it. I think the toe just leaves you in an awkward position to make that next move. You can see the hand, half in the sun, half in the shade. The shadows are stretching down now as we near 9:30 Central European time.
So she decided to not clip with that bad pinch, but now, okay, it didn't seem too hard to clip, but depending on how the hold is, it might have been more of an uncomfortable position, and then you could struggle a lot trying to clip the quick draw, and that's when you also lose a lot of energy.
Yeah, I think quick draw clipping is something always worth talking about. Oh, she takes a big backwards fall there in the crux part. Yeah, clipping quick draws is almost a move, you know, it's almost part of the route, isn't it? And sometimes working out where the best position is important.
It's so hard because depending on how it goes, you're like, okay, am I going to clip this to potentially fall off after, or should I go a couple moves and struggle trying to clip, but then at least I've got a couple more moves? There's a lot of thinking going on when you're lead climbing.
Yeah, and those moments where an athlete messes the sequence up and can't clip or is desperately trying to down climb. You get the sweatiest hands when that goes on.
I don't know if you watched, but during the University World Championships, Dimitri.
Yeah, I was there. I was commentating. Yeah, what, 3 minutes of trying to clip a draw?
It was so stressful.
It really was.
Poor thing.
I've never wanted to run onto a stage and help out more in my life. Like, he wasn't in danger, but it was just, he just wanted to get it in.
He gave so much energy clipping that quick draw. It was like, he should have won just because of that.
I agree. Style points, something points. Right, Giorgia Tessio is out. She makes that wonderful walk through the columns, out onto the stage. Team Italy with a few climbers. Her teammate, of course, Laura Ogura, as we discussed earlier, pulling out due to injury. Camilla Moroni will be out later on.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more boulders in lead start list, which is cool to see.
Absolutely, that is a B-layer with some personality, as you can see. Sideways cap, dynamic style from him. And he's got a backup B-layer there with the pink harness, just in case anything goes wrong. Double safety.
Yeah, it's also stressful as a belayer because you don't want to give too much slack at the beginning in case they fall, but you also don't want the athlete to have to tug on the rope because that could also be set for an appeal and then the athlete gets to climb again.
Yeah, if the judges have a hard job. I think the B-layer is the most stressful job and the judges possibly the hardest.
Yeah.
I hate to be a B-layer in this situation.
Yeah, you could get a lot of backlash.
Yes. Imagine short roping Yanya at the top.
Okay, she saw the bump up hold.
Yeah, had to tweak her feet there, then gets the drop knee in. So recovers that little mistake in route reading. Crosses through with the left hand, high right foot, and now she'll be through the first part of the route and will be able to focus on the climbing now as it gets more difficult from here on. A score of 9 at the moment. 4 minutes 38 on the clock.
Yeah, it's also interesting between crimps and slopers because I feel like, well, I personally feel like I could climb a lot longer on crimps than slopers. Once I hit on slopers, it's like not only the forearms, but the whole arm starts to get tired. And it's so much harder. I guess it depends if you're strong on crimps and slopers.
Yeah, it's a different training required for both of them. Some more open hand. Oh, it's an early fall from her.
There was a bit of hesitation, and I didn't really see what happened. Maybe her hand slipped.
Yeah, she let out a scream as she fell. I think more to surprise than anything else. She was really frustrated. Let's have a look at this again. So she was in the shade. Oh, it was the rope got in the way as well. This is another thing I got to think about, is rope management as well.
Depending on how you clip and if you need to do a dynamic move and your hand is underneath the rope, either you try to do what she does and move the rope and grab the hold again, or you have to do like a super big move, like miss the rope and then go grab the hold, which asks for a lot more power. Yeah,
she tried to get the same hold. She realized it was the wrong way around. And this can happen with your legs, with your arms, with your hand.
Yeah, one thing that you also want to think about is not having the rope behind your leg, because that can also happen quite a bit. Because if you fall and your leg gets stuck behind the rope, you can get horrible rope burn and end up upside down. We have seen it actually in some comps.
Yeah, it's nasty if it can happen, and it's just, when you're focusing on the climbing, the rope often just shouldn't be in your head, and it isn't, and therefore it can get you in awkward positions, as we saw. Team Great Britain's Molly Thompson-Smith is out. Qualified about mid-pack for this, 10th athlete out. Didn't have the best of bouldering rounds yesterday, a bit disappointed by that, because she is a good boulderer as well as a lead climber.
Yeah, and for the athletes doing the combine, it's quite important to do well in both.
Yeah, only 8 make it through to the combined at the end of the week.
Yeah, and it goes straight to finals. They skipped the semi-final part of the combined, so it's really you need to do a good performance in both. You have one shot.
Yeah, and that combined is the new Olympic format, one of the test events for that. So an important end to the proceedings here in Munich. Did I say Molly on her hand there? There we go, Molly having maybe an inspirational message on her hand, something to remind her.
That's don't Mol. We're going to try to read it.
We are. We'll have to have a word with it.
Don't I can't see, but yeah, having messages on your hand is really good because you can see it, and it's just like the little thought that can help if you just kind of forget it that little second and you actually see it red on your hand. You're like, okay, no, don't forget, and it can help you push just that much more.
Maybe an inspirational message for Molly here. She gets up to hold number 14. And she'll enjoy this section. She likes the physical, thuggier sections of climbing. So this should suit her.
And she did not use a heel hook and just does that move so easily. So Molly is one of the shorter climbers too, but also super strong.
Yeah, you can see those moves she's making static, just reaching up, big shouldery moves from her, high left foot. And now gets the pinch, but this is where things start to get tricky.
Pinches are also very delicate depending on how big your hands are, because that is a really wide pinch. We could see that her thumb was like barely holding the thumb catch, so if you have bigger hands, you'll be able to pinch that better and grab the thumb a lot better.
Oh, Molly slips.
But holds on.
Right, will that have affected her? It's so difficult when you make a mistake, not just psychologically, but physically in order to recover from it.
It takes up so much power just to have to stay on the wall.
And you can see awkward clip from her. That left heel, not really on anything, just pressing in. In 5th position at the moment. Yenya still leading the way.
She's looking super strong. She's getting to the part where Yevgenia was. She uses the, I mean, maybe it's a handhold, but it's a really small.
Where the left hand is?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got enough chalk on it now that it is a hold, whatever, regardless.
Yeah, and as I said before, she's one of the shorter climbers, so it'd be, oh, she cuts loose. Oh! So
that was a risky move to do that.
Unfortunately, she doesn't get a plus either.
So Molly hands on hips as she looks up. That was a risky cut loose. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's better rather than trying to static your way out of a position, just cut loose, swing, get back on and go, but that took a lot of energy from her.
Yeah, so Yevgenia managed to keep her toe hook and go straight to the 25 and then do the plus move. Although Molly here probably calculated that she was going to be short and so decided to cut loose and be better for the move afterwards, but unfortunately.
Yeah, she started that cut loose move a bit premature. Big mole.
Big mole.
We'll find out that at some point for you. But yeah, it looked like she thought about the cut loose, but yeah, started to slip as she went.
She's very short with the toe hook, and so
held it, teeth gritted as she came back in.
It's just the hands that let go at the very last second.
That left is awful, isn't it? Looking at that shot. Watch that left hand, it just pings off.
Both just slip at the same time. Yeah, that is a foothold.
It's definitely a foothold, isn't it? I mean,
for sure.
I know these guys can hold on to nothing, but still.
Yeah, so probably for this move, now that there's a lot of chalk, the next climbers are potentially going to think, okay, so I can use this as a hold, but that might not help. I think maybe going dynamically and just jumping and getting high would be better.
We're going to see a cleaning break quite soon. It'll be interesting once the route setters have cleaned that off a bit, whether we see the same sequence. So Stasha Gale is out. Super popular on the scene. Certainly more of a boulderer perhaps, but really working hard on the lead climbing. And she is one of those athletes where speed is quite important for her because perhaps lacking that top level of endurance.
Yeah, I've talked to quite a lot of boulderers and they're like, yeah, whether it's a 7A or an 8C, it's just the same amount of moves. Like I get to 25, 30 moves and I just get pumped. So it's about speed. If you can get to 35 quicker, then you could potentially get higher.
Yeah, pump is when your arms fill. Actually, the exact definition of pump I've been told I've got wrong, but it's kind of lactic acid. It's kind of just everything, but it just means you can't hold on anymore. Yeah,
it's all the, you don't get enough oxygen to the forearms, and it's the trash of the body just trying to eliminate everything it can as fast as possible, but it can't because you're still holding on.
Yeah, if you want to see what it's like, go and do like sort of 10 pull-ups and then try to hold on whilst after that 10 pull-ups. And if you're new to the sport, it's a very strange feeling. And some athletes love it, that feeling of fighting the pump. Personally, I can't stand it, but that's just me.
I enjoy lead climbing, especially for that like pump where you fight till the very end. But to be able to fight to the very end, you need to have a certain amount of endurance. And training for endurance, I hate.
Yeah, it sort of makes you feel sick right down in your stomach as you go.
So painful.
So Stasha has certainly been training that horrible feeling, which she's immediately having to work hard as she enters the power part. And similar to Molly, she'll be doing this in a slightly different way, but she has the toe, which does make this more powerful, this move.
And she's also one of the taller climbers, so that really brings her hips super low. Okay, she's changed to heel.
So well spotted from Stasha. Used the toe to rest and flipped into the heel. And you can see the grouping of the athletes there all around this initial crux section. Hips pressed into the wall. Oh, the right foot bobbled off that hold. She looked good.
Oh, yeah, she looked very good. It's horrible when it's a foot slip because you can't do anything about it. It just happens out of nowhere and you gotta get over it.
Yeah, it's Stasha. You can see by the muttering she's giving, she doesn't like moves like this to go wrong. Watch the right foot there. It really was. That was a straight pop there. Sometimes that can happen if you start to take the pressure off. You're thinking about the next move. You should weight the foot a little longer. Maybe that's what happened. It's a shame.
And also maybe the heat, because also when your shoes are warm, there you've got less friction, so you can slip more. And
that, I'm glad you brought that up, that blows my mind, because look, if you're a Formula One fan, for example, warm tyres help grip, right? But it doesn't seem to work that way in climbing. It's different.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well, we're nearing the halfway point of this semi-final. Noah Shiran is out next from Israel. Welcome to Munich, says the commentator, indeed, as she comes out onto the stage. So we could also be seeing what you discussed at the beginning, which is these holds heating up a little bit in the sun, because it certainly seems that these athletes coming out aren't getting as high as the first few who came onto the wall.
It will be interesting to potentially talk to the athletes after and see how different the feeling was from the first athlete that came out and the last athlete. But, I mean, well, the last athlete is Yanya. I don't know if her answer would help, but the longer the holds are in the sun, the warmer they're going to get. And climbing also in the sun, it's just horrible. It's way too hot.
Yeah, it is. You're baking in a heat wave at the moment. And of course, the holds are getting more dirty. The more athletes use them, sweat, chalk, none of that improves the feeling of the hold, and they will be cleaned soon.
Yeah, and the feeling of just like the warm holds underneath your skin is not nice.
Yeah, we see in bouldering comps later on, you'll watch brushers cleaning the holds, but of course, brushes don't reach that high up. Although perhaps that's, but maybe a brush on a telescopic pole as the, the athlete goes, inclined above them.
One thing sometimes I struggle with the brushes. It's sometimes a struggle to adjust the height, and so I want to brush the top hole, but I'm one of the shorter climbers, and so I can't reach, and I'm like, okay, never mind, I won't brush it.
Short person beater coming in for brushing.
But now you can ask the brushers to brush the hold for you, so that's also good.
Yes.
You don't waste that energy of brushing, using the up and down.
Yeah, coronavirus changed things in terms of the rules, and we had a period of time where the athletes had to do all the brushing themselves, which was pretty intense.
Yeah, it's actually really tiring.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard work sometimes. It really is.
You have to take extra rest time too then, and so you potentially lose a couple of seconds, crucial seconds.
Well, you'll watch that in the bouldering comp. So Noah Shiran gets a very high heel, the toe pressed into the wall as well, almost camming it in that position. And full splits up on the wall. And that's the blocked hold you were chatting about earlier. That blue and yellow there just prevents the athletes from A, heel hooking, but B, means you have to be more precise with it.
Oh,
and he actually heel hooks immediately. straight away, and that's what the route setters sometimes have to deal with, is moves like that. No, Giran is going well, though. 11th position at the moment. 25.1 is what she's aiming for. She won't know that. Oh, and drops the right hand.
So, yeah, that clip part where these athletes are falling is also something to think about a lot. She decided to go to the next move to get the plus, potentially, or the next hold, and then clip. But unfortunately, she didn't hold on to the... But she looked very bad with the pinch. She did not seem comfortable.
No, it suddenly came undone for her. Head in her hands, she kicks off the wall. Oh, look, just slightly missed it over, went too far, hitting the black volume. Let's watch this again. So the left foot is scrubbing, and that immediately slips as she moves.
You can also tell, like, by the elbows if they seem comfortable or not, if the elbows are close to the body or not.
Spectacular fall down to the ground for her. And now we might be getting a cleaning break coming up. There seems to be a pause in proceedings here. So our camera spins round. Yeah, oh no, maybe not. We've got Chloe Collier getting ready. She qualified in an incredibly high position for bouldering, looking really strong. I think she was second.
She qualified in first.
First, was it?
In first in her group.
So she's...
And in semis in lead, so she's doing really well for the combined.
Yeah, she's had an up and down World Cup season.
Yeah, I was talking to her about it, and she was not very satisfied with her bouldering season up until now, but hopefully for the big objective of the year, it will go well for her.
True, this is the focus, isn't it? So maybe peaking at the right time for Chloe Collier. She'll be one of those who'll be climbing fairly quickly through the bottom sections.
Yeah, I think she's, though, a slow climber. For a boulder, may not be good, but I've seen her lead climb a bit, and she didn't climb too fast.
All right, so Chloe might have to find some speed. The belayer fully focused. He's wearing those glasses, and that allows them to see upwards whilst looking forward, because if you're belaying and you spend a lot of time with your neck craned upwards, it's quite tiring.
Yeah, and it hurts your upper back and neck.
That's why he's wearing those glasses. He'll be able to look straight forward and yet see upwards via the prisms in the glasses.
Chloe also took a bit more time to read the route before getting onto it. I think you've got 40 seconds to read before heading onto the route.
Yeah, because they saw this quite a long time ago, and say you're Yanya coming out last, you've had 25 athletes to go. It's easy to forget what happened, so what you've seen.
Yeah, because as we said before, it's really important to know where you want to clip, where you want to rest, where you want to move fast, where you want to go slow, and so you've only got 6 minutes to remember it all, and depending on how good your memory is, you can forget quite a bit of moves, and so reading it before climbing straight away is also good.
Just briefly sort of try to relate this to grades, these routes, because a lot of people will be climbing at their local gyms, and these athletes make this stuff look easier than it is. I've been told, and I know route setters hate to talk about grades, but generally for the women, I've been told sort of 8B, 8B+, potentially 8C for the semi-finals, especially during the World Cups. Perhaps slightly easier for the European champs, but certainly in the 8s for these grades.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how in climbing, and also just like watching it, it seems so much easier than what it actually is, and it's so unfortunate because people are like, oh yeah, I could probably do that, and then you go onto it and you're like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the level that these women are climbing at the moment is high, and it seems to have stepped up every year as well. At the beginning of every season, people tell me, oh, it's really hard this year, or things seem more difficult. No,
it's amazing to see the progress. And the development also of sport climbing in general, how it's changed over the years.
Yeah, the sport.
Chloe is clipping much lower than the other athletes, which could potentially be a smart move, because she's good at crimping, so why not use a crimp to clip?
Yeah, and release the foot there.
And she doesn't need to think about clipping here on this move, and she can go straight into the powerful move. Does it static.
Doesn't look particularly powerful, does it, from her? Almost heel hooks her own fingers as she goes up into the underclings, and this is a sequence that she'll enjoy, these thuggy moves. Slaps up, oh! didn't have the thumb engaged.
Yeah. But that's a very difficult move because you're kind of going into an undercling, but which is above your head, and you do have a tiny thumb catch, but the volume isn't that good, so you're really going to have to be super powerful to bring yourself up and make that a good undercling. And depending on how low your body is, and you've got a heel hook which is pulling you down, so you got to really stay, your body really needs to stay compressed, ready.
Yeah, and that was the fall from her coming down. The Belair reacting quickly. So this is the move. She slapped out with the left. There was a thumb there. The heel's in, and the heel popped.
Goes.
Slow motion is so unforgiving when you watch some of these sequences. You kind of think like, oh, why? Why didn't they just do that? But it's so quick.
Mm-hmm. And also when she did seem tired. And so when you're also tired, it's where you potentially slip more, and you can see her heel slowly coming off the hold.
There's a lot of rubber left on that hold from the women who have slipped there before.
I wonder how different it is for Chloe, who's come out last before the cleaning, and the first climber.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Hannah Moyle is the next athlete out, and she's an athlete who could really make finals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she's doing super well in bouldering and lead. And she's the first out after the clean, so she has good conditions. Yeah,
it's the perfect positioning for her. She wouldn't have been able to work that out tactically. It's too difficult to do, but it's worked out well for her. So this is our current leaderboard. 25.1. Evgenia Kazbekova from Ukraine is leading the way at the moment, followed by Sandra and then Molly in third position. We're looking for the top 8 athletes to go through, and we're halfway through this semi-final, so a few to go. And most of the falls coming in the roof section, that 19 to 25 part of the route, in the middle through the roof. Chloe Collier we just saw. So the athlete in the danger zone is Noah Shiran. She's on 18.1. And then everyone after that was already out of the finals, but 18.1 is not going to be enough, I don't think, to make it through.
No, for sure.
Unless something goes terribly wrong for our top 6.
Yeah, no, the next 13 climbers are really strong. So hopefully we'll be able to see some high point.
Well, we get a little bit of a moment to compose here halfway through the semi-finals. The route setter is on the wall cleaning the holds with a brush. You can just see him hanging around there in the shadow. There he is. So he works his way up the wall by clipping in and hauling on the quick draws. And his job is to reset everything for the athletes.
And since the athletes only kind of got halfway up to the wall, he only needs to clean halfway.
That's a very good point, yeah. So he's
Although
almost
in
done.
qualies, it takes so much time because they have to go all the way to the top.
So the route setter gets on with his job, and I think it's about time we saw some replays of what's gone before. So we're going to watch some super slow motion of some of the action coming up. Give yourselves a bit of a break if you're watching at home. We're halfway through the women's semi-final. Men's bouldering semi-final is coming up. Let's watch some of the action, shall we?
Yeah. That hold for heel hook and holding has been mean for these athletes.
That was the writing on Molly's hands. Inspirational words as she going up, but that was the fall. We think that left hand is actually a foothold rather than a handhold. His fingers hooked on the jugs. She rotates through. Seeing some of these moves in slow motion.
Yeah, I think actually Sandra had a good idea of going dynamically like that for that move.
That was an overextension there with the right hand, just missing, fingers pianoing off the hold.
Yeah, contact strength is also super important in climbing in general. It's just to have your fingers ready to squeeze that hold as hard as possible at the right time. So if you squeeze too soon, well, you miss the hold, and if you squeeze too late, you come off. Either way.
Do you find it useful to watch when you're watching back these moves? Because, I mean, you see yourself on TV as well when you climb. Is it helpful to watch those mistakes in super slow motion, or is it just sort of a bit frustrating and annoying for you?
There is the frustration side of it, because you're like, oh, if I did this, you can always do better. But watching yourself climb afterwards and analyzing what went wrong in body positioning and all of that, you can always learn something from it. And so, yeah, I find it really important to watch yourself climb, even though it's annoying to see you make stupid mistakes.
And do you sit down with your coaches and do that, or is that something you take time to do yourself?
Both. There's usually like a little feedback that we have after the comp where we look at the videos together. But then I also take time on myself to just go through it all and kind of take notes on what needs to be done, changed in training. And then we put it all together with a coach and back to training, and hopefully we won't ever have it again.
And you're at the moment balancing, I don't know if you still are you studying at the same time at the moment, or have you finished?
I have finished my bachelor's, so
congratulations.
I'm taking a break from uni, and I will be 100% climbing for the next couple of years, I hope.
And what difference do you think that's going to make to you? Just more time means more training?
Just like also rest. I feel like when I was at uni, there was always this kind of like stress. Like my head was always thinking about something, like, oh, I need to hand this in. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. Don't forget this. Don't forget that. So having that out of mind is just a lot more restful. I feel more rested and less stressed.
Awesome. I can't wait to see you next season and the end of this season. Well, we are back into the action. Hannah Moyle from Team Germany enters the stage, and you could see her on screen taking a deep breath, trying to suck up the moment. I mean, look, this is a special moment for her, the only German athlete in the semi-final.
In front of a home crowd.
And Hannah Moyle has really come on this year. She's won her first medals, and since that first medal seems to have grown in confidence as well.
Yeah, confidence is a big aspect in climbing. When you start getting those results and seeing those results, you actually start to believe in yourself more, and you're like, oh, actually I can do this. And having a strong mental about your capabilities just boosts your confidence, and you could just do so many more things.
So Hannah gets underway, flicking the feet left and right, working out the beater. Crowd here in the stadium have all just started moving down towards the front, cheering on the home favourite.
With the strand of pink hair, all the German girls dyed their hair a bit pink before the comp.
Yeah, go check out the Instagrams. There's like a hair dyeing party that went on before Munich.
She seems to be moving fast in this first section, and now gets into the big overhang part.
Yeah, so this is where things get physical. She's got the toe in. Hannah will be trying to take full advantage of the cleanest holds, really, since Mattia came out first of all. Hannah Moyle sitting in 13th, 25.1 is where she's aiming for to move into the lead. Big clip there, had to pull out the rope.
Yeah, she decided to clip on lower. I do actually think that is a smart move, because the crimp might be better than the pinch. And then once you're at the pinch, you don't need to think about clipping and wasting energy on a bad hold.
Hannah Moyle is moving very quickly through here.
A lot of the climbers were at 2 minutes just at the beginning of the overhang, and she's 2 minutes in the hard section.
So, good stuff from Hannah Moyle, making a play.
Super strong.
She is, that thumb pressing in. Now having to work a little bit harder. Bumping up though. Now this is where we wanted to see if it was a handhold or a foothold. What's she going to do? It won't have as much chalk on it. In fact, it hasn't hardly got any chalk on it now. But she does use it.
She does use it. I think any hold that you can use, you're going to try to use in lead, because it will just give you those extra points.
Yeah, and Hannah is good at the crimp, so that might feel like a good hold for her.
And she's got the high point.
There we go. Hannah Moyle moves.
On these slopers.
Yeah. Oh, bit of a slip there, but she's still on. The scoreboard will be updated on the left, and she falls.
So that seems to be a very bad sloper, plus in full sun, in a very overhang part of the wall.
So Hannah is trying to get confirmation of her score. She looks back up, 27. And this was seconds before. Close her eyes, the sun seemed to hit her face. What a shot that is.
I wonder if they're going to give her the plus because, as we said before, she did kind of do a move, but was she falling and just kind of raised her arms up, or did she try to do the move while she was still on the wall?
I think this is...
Oh, you can see she's slowly... No. Oh. I don't think that's a plus.
So 27, we think she's likely to stick at, and that is the high point at the moment. You can see the hand went left.
Yeah,
it's not going to count.
It's an automatic lead climber thing to do just to try to get that plus because it can change a lot.
It reminds me a bit like in football when someone, you know, like kicks the ball into an opposition, it goes off, and they're sort of claiming that it's them. You know, it's that kind of a thing. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I went for it, honest. All right, so Team Germany's Hannah Moyle is done, waving to the crowd. She swings back down to the stage. It's so overhanging, it's sometimes hard to land back on the stage for the athletes. Sarah Chopa from Slovenia is out. And let's talk about Team Slovenia, shall we, for a second, because they are so decorated, so well known within the climbing circuit.
It's such a strong team.
Patchwork of tape on her left shoulder.
It looks very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Slovenia next to Japan are both super strong countries.
Yeah, and there's real depth to their squad. I mean, we've got Sarah, we've got Luka Rakovic, Janja, of course, coming out, Mia Krampel, Vita Luken. The list goes on in this top half of the semi-final.
Yeah, I think 5 climbers max you can have per country at the European Champs, and all 5 of them, I guess, are in semis in lead.
And they move around Europe as a unit, Team Slovenia do. I quite like to see them. You can see them coming from miles away. They've got the white uniforms on. It's a bit of a crew rolling through the stadiums. So Sarah's underway here. 3 quick draws clipped. This foot sequence, we have to commit to the left, drop back down, and reposition the left foot. And there's Hannah Moyles, 27 at the top of the leaderboard, Janja 25.1 seconds. So Hannah getting a lot further than anyone else so far.
Also, time in semis is quite important because if you do qualify for finals and there is a part where 2 climbers fall off the same spot, it will be based off time, who got there faster.
Yeah, we've seen that in the World Cup circuit, especially in Innsbruck, where time became a really important part. Ideally, we want to see separation on the wall and not on the clock, but we have backups.
Unfortunately, it happens.
You can see on the right of the screen, 8 climbers advanced to the finals. So we are looking for the top 8, so keep an eye on that whenever the leaderboard comes up on screen. Spearing on the wall with the left foot as she enters the shadow, which is now fully in the overhanging part of the wall, just the head wall and the start in the sun.
Smearing on the wall is also something very delicate because depending on if the wall has a lot of friction, then you can push against it quite a bit, but your foot can also slip so easily that it's also something risky to do.
Yeah, the climbers wear special climbing shoes for this. You couldn't do the moves they do in trainers. Trainers will get you so far, and if you're starting the sport, definitely wear them, but climbing shoes are important, and Sarah cuts loose on the overhang.
Cutting loose, I would say she lost a bit of energy holding onto that, but she seems to have recovered. But she's at the hard part.
Yeah, and that left heel, she was really careful with how she placed it. Looks like she's struggling now, can't work out the sequence, needs to remove that left at some point. The left pops.
The heel goes.
That swing that's generated when you lose a heel like that, it's so difficult to pull yourself back in.
Especially on that hold where there's practically nothing to hold on to.
Yeah, a lot of core required. Sarah is done. That won't be enough to move forward. Let's watch this again. So she calm throughout, never looked like she was panicking at any moment, had that slip down low, and that was the beginning of the end for her.
Yeah, and it's also a very long move, so your leg is quite straight, and once that leg is straight, the heel hook also becomes much worse. Oh, but her heel started to fall once she started the move.
Yeah, there was the heel. There's the swing. She couldn't hold it.
Molly did a very good job holding on to that.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah. And Molly's power really showing. So Sarah waves to the crowd, which is still building. Kind of a party atmosphere here in the stadium as Camilla Moroni comes out. Now, Camilla Moroni, I mean, since the World Championships in Moscow, where she's got bronze, silver? My mind's gone blank, silver. Since then, again, it's that confidence thing. She's someone you're expecting to be in semi-finals and make finals, especially in bouldering.
Yeah, and it was so awesome to watch her doing the World Championships. You could tell she was just having so much fun and enjoying herself on the wall.
Yeah, she has a lot of power within her. Really known for her power moves. And she's underway with that heel start. Oh, we've got a new belay. Change of personnel on the stage. Oh, missed that crimp, but easy to readjust into it. Moves through the slopers. The athletes using chalk, which they carry in those chalk bags on the back, and that helps improve the friction. In the same way a gymnast chalks up before they use the bars, an athlete will chalk up pretty regularly, and it's almost a habit sometimes to chalk between each move, especially if you're not a pro. Sometimes I catch myself doing is always chalking, sort of.
Yeah, it's same. It's like I could be doing just something completely different, like heading to the bathroom and I'm trying this boulder, but then I'm like start chalking, or I'm like, no, but I want to go to the bathroom. What's the point? Why am I chalking up?
I thought you meant you chalked up in the bathroom there. Very confused about that one.
Yeah, and behind, when you're in the cold zone, you're always chalking up. You're like, you don't want to be sweating too much, so you want your skin to be good. And
yeah, you'll see athletes looking at their hands obsessively, especially when they come down. It's almost the first thing you do when you fall is just to check, make sure there's no cuts.
And especially for the climbers who are doing the combined, for all the 8 who are going to be climbing in both disciplines, semis and finals, they've got 4 intense days of climbing, and skin is just going to be so bad at the end.
Yeah, I was chatting to Yannick Floet yesterday, and I was looking at his skin, and it's already going through on the tips. It's pink on the end. So Camilla Moroni will have to be thinking about all of these things as she gets going. She's now into this tricky sequence. Watch this left heel. Oh, you can see the rubber from the slips before. So important, this next move.
She's already clipping, so she seems to be good.
Yeah, pause a sec just to pull up the rope. Oh, and that left heel pops.
But she managed to hold.
But will that
super strong.
Yeah, super strong. Will that have cost her, though? I want to put a warning on that hold. Just a little sign.
It's also actually a big discussion that I've had with friends where, because Camilla is a really strong boulder, is it easier for her then to train lead, since she only technically has to train endurance and be good in lead? Or a lead climber who has a bit more endurance but then has to get all the physical dynamic kind of moves, slabby moves going?
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
And Camilla here, we saw she managed to hold on even though her heel slipped, but endurance-wise may fall off sooner. But
yeah, it's so tricky for the athlete and for the coaches trying to work out that training plan, I can imagine. She got 25 and then seemed to get bumped down to 24.1. This was at the start. Full hesitations from her, but she's in third, which is good.
And she decides to go dynamically. She doesn't use...
That was a massive... If she had pulled that off, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, but it's a very slopey hold.
Yeah. full spin from Camilla Moroni. We know she's powerful, but that was optimistic. And that's what we think might actually be. So she's dodging the foothold. Okay, so she's not using it.
She didn't use it. I think that's probably what the route setters were thinking of as a method. She's also a shorter climber, so the heel might have been harder, as we saw with Molly. She tried to cut loose, and unfortunately came off.
So Camilla probably with the intended beater, that big slap, it makes it a pretty hard move.
Yeah, once again, it's contact strength, but also with a sloper, it's like all body tension and shoulders, and everything has got to be ready once you want to grab that hold.
Right, from the Czech Republic, Liska Adamovska. She won in Briançon last year for the World Cup. And she is an athlete who can pull something out of the bag. Adam Ondra's teammate. If you know anything about climbing, you will know Adam Ondra, first to climb the magic grade of 9C, so she has some pretty good training partners within the team.
Yeah, she has so much endurance.
Yeah, she's great to watch. She's a real fighter all the way. And I always think she's about to fall, and somehow she doesn't.
Yeah, that's what's really fun to watch in lead climbing in general. You're like, oh, she seems uncomfortable, so tired, and they just get move after move after move, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, fighting the burn all the way. So Elise bumping, a slightly different position there from the others. Doesn't use the heel on the right.
Yep, she's also one of the taller climbers. It's nice to see different methods also between the shorter climbers and the taller climbers.
How much does it affect, height when you're out there? I mean, is it a factor that might stop you climbing hard, or was it just a different way of approaching routes?
I think it's mainly a different way of approaching routes. The methods might be much different. And then also depending on the moves, if there's a jump, the taller climbers might not necessarily need to jump as much, but yeah.
So Liska shakes out down low, resting. The athletes can do what they want on the wall as long as they get it done within 6 minutes. And shaking the hands out, that helps to alleviate some of that pump, that lactic acid. Arty shot there from the cameraman as he gets the European Championship logo in. Give that man a raise. So this is where things start to get interesting on the route. Will it be the heel or the toe? The toe might work for her because she's taller.
Yeah, a lot of climbers seem to use the toe first, and then they look at the next move and they change to heel.
It's a good resting position for her, and you can see taking full advantage of that. Really calm at the moment from her. Oh.
That's also something to think about in lead, is depending on how well you can recuperate by resting like that. It could be good then for you to rest, but also if you're not good at recuperating on bad holds, then you just want to move as fast as possible to try to get as high as you can.
This is very different methods from her. She's not using the heel, then gets it in. Now she'll shake out. We know this is the crutch sequence.
Ah, she does not use a heel though.
No, look at that. I mean, she's got a toe on the screw on now, I think.
Nice.
So, much different from her in 6th position. Oh, almost missed the bump, gets the thumb locked in, then drops the thumb away to make the next move. And now this will be interesting. Will she go for the power or the intermediate, the foothold method?
Seems to be going for the power. Oh.
It's strange, isn't it, that probably the intended beater seems like the wrong beater at the moment.
Yeah, I think potentially for her using, keeping her heel hook or toe and then using the small foothold and then going to the yellow would have been better. But it's a decision to make on the spot, and because it's such a bad hold.
Yeah, there's nothing on it. There's no edge. There's no positivity. You just got to get as much skin on it as possible and try to hold that swing.
Because there's also the different kind of holds. They've got the same shape, but you've got the juggy style and then the really terrible sloper one. And if you're on the ground and you can't see fully the hold, you don't really know which one to expect.
And look how bad it is. And it's half in the sun still. The feet are so tricky as well. You've just got the screw-ons.
And the quadrific friction is also not as sticky as other volume holds.
How well do you know these, well, do the athletes know these holds? Because there is differences between them. They're not all uniform, are they?
I think a lot of athletes are used to seeing all the holds that they can usually recognize which one is which. But as we said before, yeah, there are some that look very much alike, and it's just the jug style or the sloper style. And at that moment, it's kind of like, okay, well, am I gonna go for expecting a jug, or am I gonna go for expecting a sloper? And I would always expect the worst. So if you go too hard but squeeze hard, then and you land on the jug, you're like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
But if you expect a jug, you don't go hard enough, then you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's a game of cat and mouse sometimes with the route setters who will be trying to use holds the athletes haven't seen. So, Alexandra Totkova is on screen. She is one of my favorite athletes to watch climbing because she has a style that is so unique. She just doesn't always look like the smoothest, cleanest climber in the world, but man, has she got endurance. She does not let go. It's exciting to watch her. See how much fight she's got in her today. 5 her score at the moment. That will add up as she gets higher on the wall. Again, one of the shorter climbers, so it'll be interesting to see how she works out the section in the middle.
Yeah, now we've got mainly lead climbers coming out.
Yeah, the specialists.
The ones with infinity endurance.
Maxed out levels for them. Great shot of the crimp there with her right hand. Some of these angles being provided by a big crane that's situated in the audience, which follows the athletes up. See, this is the style. It's so snatchy the way she does it.
Yeah.
It's scary to watch, but it's so interesting. I literally get sweat. I have sweaty hands now watching her go.
Yeah, my hands are sweating so much.
Because you just think, oh my God, she's overcooked it. She's got it wrong.
It seems like she's going to fall off on every move, but doesn't.
And I say it, I've got to stop saying it, but I just find it interesting because you watch it and you think maybe she hasn't got this, or maybe something's wrong today.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then they top out and you're like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Sasha, my teammate, is a bit like that. At the beginning of the route, he's always a bit unstable and steady, and you're like, oh no, this is going to be so bad. I hope it goes well, and he tops the route.
Yeah, Sasha Lehmann is a bit of a legend on the scene. He'll be out later, I think, for the boulder.
Yes, so he's in boulder semis. And in lead semis.
Yeah, he's won here before, hasn't he, in the European Champs? I think, back in the day. Maybe I got that wrong, I'll check.
I think, yeah.
I think he has. Yeah. We'll have a look. So Alexandra makes her way through the first hard moves.
She matched on top of that terrible pinch.
Watch this heel. It's likely to slip. It's whether she can control the swing. And belays are ready. They know this is the move.
There are also so many volumes in that section. You're like, okay, well, ooh, her foot does not slip. Nice.
Yeah, she had that heel locked in there. Still is.
Put her right foot out, putting pressure against the wall, meaning she would have less swing, and the heel would stay a lot more, would move less. So that might have helped a lot.
Yeah, that was really impressive. And it's especially impressive considering how many athletes we've seen pop off that move.
Yeah.
That's her chalk bag she uses to re-chalk up mid-route. Good resting position. She almost looks like she got that foot jammed in.
I think she's got a knee bar.
Yeah, she has got a knee, look.
Her knee's in there.
That's the first I've seen of that. Oh no, someone else had it as well, actually. Chloe, I think. Oh, and she goes for the jump.
Wow.
Technique be damned, just leap. That was awesome. And now this is the move. Oh, gets her hand flicked. How is she still on?
That is so cool for her. Putting loose on the next 3 moves.
She got all twisted up in the rope and still made it work.
And resting when she can.
What sequences from her. Gets a high heel, rocks up. That's Hannah Moyle's high point. Oh, she's into the lead on 27.
I wouldn't say she's got 27 yet if that's the yellow hold. Oh.
Yeah, we'll wait for score on this. Things might get tweaked, but what a performance. It's hard to know whether she just messed that up or did something brilliant, you know. It's like, I mean, what power to get through.
Yeah, no, that was really impressive. 3 cut loose on the 3 hottest moves of the room.
Can't wait to see the replays of that. Well, this is how it started. Eyes cupped against the sun as she checked out the sequences once more.
But once again, we can just tell by, oh wow, contact strength on point. And tension, shoulder tension.
Look, she fully got tangled up in that quick draw.
Oh, it's so cool for her.
Still made the move. Oh, I love watching her climb.
But we could see also afterwards how bad that sloper is at number 27, because she went up for it twice and just seemed like there was nothing to hold on to.
And she'd made that move a few times as well. Went up, came down, went up.
But there's actually a foothold on the right, so I would actually say you put your foothold to the right and go left hands.
Okay. So we'll wait.
Because the hold is turned in that direction.
Yeah, and that can make a big difference, can't it, in terms of body positioning?
Yeah, you're in the correct body position straight away.
That's how overhanging it is. That's a good shot to show it.
But she also didn't clip, so that would have been hard to continue afterwards.
Yeah, she was redlining, I think, at the top there, just pushing through, trying to get the points.
Trying to get as high as possible.
Yeah. Well, we'll wait to see what her score was, whether she's jumped over Hannah Moyle. But for now,
she has 26.1.
Okay, so 26.1 for her, so she'll be in second place. Okay, well, that was exciting. Semi-final kicks up a gear as we come into our final few athletes here. Luka Rakovic is out.
The overhang is slowly getting into the shade.
Yeah, no one breaching the head wall yet. Luka takes a long look up. She'll be trying to spot quick draws swinging, perhaps. Trying to work out where the last athlete got to. Now, Luka has a flexibility that is impressive to watch, and she can find rests where there are no rests.
She's very good at heel hooking and crimping, and it's impressive what she can hold on to.
Let's see if she's in form today. Again, we didn't see her in as many finals as perhaps we did normally during the main season, but she made a few, making a lot of semi-finals, so she's continuing this form. And you can see how chalked up her hands is all the way down to the wrist. And that is liquid chalk that she'll have on as a base. And then she'll top it up with powdered chalk from the bag as she goes.
Yeah, liquid chalk kind of holds back the sweat a bit
She went very low on that heel. Tried to get a very high left.
Yeah, she heeled underneath the volume, but the volume, there's not much to heel onto.
Yeah, she will be disappointed by that, and you can see looking down, trying to hold in the emotions. She'll be wanting to get off that stage as quick as she can. Let's see this again. Had the high heel, didn't look good.
And then here she heels.
Went for the double heel.
And wants to clip and
yeah, it just didn't quite look settled. Almost went for the clip before that heel was seated.
Yeah.
So
yeah, moving too fast is, if you feel too good and you're just moving too fast and thinking too fast, it can also go very wrong.
Yeah, she's the master of double heels usually. Not today for Lučka. That won't be enough for finals. But next up, another Slovenian athlete. Vita Lukin comes out. Full Terminator mode as she enters the curtain. Look at that, flicking it back. That was awesome. Yeah, she's one of those climbers who just gets herself in this zone. And then when she's there, she can just unleash herself on the wall.
Yeah, it's so nice to watch her climb too.
Yeah, she's got that thing you were talking about earlier, which is that flowy physicality, that dynamic pop between moves.
And she can really fight until the very end.
But as we've just seen, early slips can happen. 6 athletes to go now in our semi-final. Coming up to 10:30. 12 p.m. is the boulder semi-final for the men. Powering up through the first part of the wall. You can see the clocks on the wall, the ones in green ticking down. That allows the audience to see, but there's also a clock pointing directly up. So it's flat on the floor, so the athletes can look down and see the time if they need to know it.
I wonder actually how visible it actually is in the sun.
It's small as well, yeah.
A lot of climbers, I know a lot of climbers also take a timer with them. They like attach it to their quick draw and they start the timer when they're about to climb, so they don't need to look down, they just look on their harness and they have the time on their watch attached to them.
And what's the advantage over that, wearing it on the wrist, for example? Why would you?
Well, the wrist, I wouldn't wear it on the wrist because if you have to like palm a hold or something and go, it could block and
get in the way,
get in the way. So they have it on their harness, and they just turn the watch a bit up, and they don't need to turn their whole body around and look down and try to find the watch.
Well, we saw a shot just then of the timer flat, pointing back upwards, and that's what we were talking about. So Vita about halfway through this route. That's such a good insight, Sophia. I'm going to look for clocks on harnesses from now on. I've never noticed it before. So high left heel for Vita as she rocks up.
She canvassed the move.
Oh, had a bit of a hesitation there.
She did Lučka method with the heel, but her heel didn't slip, luckily.
Oh, she's struggling with this. Trying to match that hole, but it's so awkward.
Yeah. She just goes, dynamically nice. And lets go of it.
Possibly,
loosens up.
Yeah, maybe she read that with Lučka.
Yeah. You can usually see the team Vita.
Yeah, and you can sometimes see, and it's like watching a car crash in slow motion when an athlete misreads a beater, and then you know the other athlete has read it with them, and you think, no.
Oh, wow, she doesn't have enough energy to go back down onto the pinch and chalk up.
Well, we said Vita is a fighter, and she's going to have to now. 3:27 on the clock.
Smart move there, toe hooking underneath her heel hook. So then there's like that counter pressure and less possibility of slipping.
Oh, slapping up with the left hand.
Manages to get the heel in.
Right, I reckon she's going to go for the launch into the slope. She hasn't clipped.
She hasn't clipped, yeah.
Oh, and that's going to leave her right in the danger zone in 7th position, 24.
Either way, if she did make that move, it would have been really hard to clip the quick draw beneath, so.
Yeah, she was burning out, I think.
It's in moments like these where the athlete feels that they're tired, and so they're like, okay, well, won't waste energy clipping, let's try the move.
Yeah, her score just got flicked up there, so she's now in 4th. She got the 0.1.
And there's 5 climbers left. So
that toe is awful. Sorry, I'm just watching that.
Oh, she wasn't high enough, unfortunately.
Okay, so she's now going to be nervously watching the scoreboard as we come into our final few.
So that hold looks quite good, but as we were saying, it's just completely overhang. It's a total overhang hold.
Yeah, it's body position as well. I think if you're set up wrong for it, it's impossible.
Yeah, so for a move like that, where the jump is very much to the right, you want to move your body as much as possible underneath the hold, so then you have a lot less swing, but you're also so reached out because the volume is so far left.
All right, next up is Hélène Gencourt from France. Up until last year, she competed, then she went into the route setting world, spent last year route setting with the IFSC, and then thought, you know what, I'm still here, I'm still at this level, I'm sending these routes I'm setting, and has now returned this year.
Let's head back onto
Yeah, to the comp scene.
Oh, it's super nice to see her back on the circuit.
Yeah, it's great, and I watched her in the qualies, she's looking good. So Hélène will get her semi-final underway. Looks back, checks the clock. Deep breath to start. And it must be a bit of an advantage, having spent a year at least, if not more, I can't actually remember how long she's been doing it for, but in that route setting world, that mentality, you're going to start to sort of understand the routes a bit better, perhaps.
Yeah, I think route setting can help a lot for an athlete in comps, because you have 2 different mindsets you can switch between. You have the athlete mindset where you're like, okay, I'm going to go for this method, but then you might also switch to the route setting mindset where you're like, okay, well, what was the route setter potentially thinking? I mean, you can also do that as an athlete in general, but with the experience of route setting and talking to other route setters and setting with different route setters, you have just like different experiences, and that can help quite a bit.
Yeah, more to draw on.
Yeah.
But of course, I suppose you could also overthink it.
Yeah, that's you don't want that either.
No. So it's interesting for her. She'll be thinking of none of this, of course. She'll just be climbing, but it's good for us to have a think about it.
Yeah, there's just one thing to do. It's just go with the flow and do what you do best and climb.
Yeah, flow state is something you hear a lot in climbing, when you're in that space where all you're doing is just climbing.
Yeah.
Nothing else is there. For some it comes easy, for others it's a rare occurrence. Thinking about myself here. So she gets her feet around, now gets the heels straight in. Seems to be the method, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, she clips with the crip. Will she crip the next? No.
Yeah, so doesn't clip low. Ooh, and gets an awkward heel in over the top of her hand. She's gonna have to clip now. Oh, watch that left.
She was shaking a bit. In moments like these, you expect them to come off, and they don't know, but she seems good.
Oh, no, she doesn't. That, so she heel hooks her own fingers. Look at the shake in that heel.
Clips. So, as I said before, she really put her right foot far out, which actually helps a lot more.
Right, look at that list of athletes all around that 24 hold.
So she doesn't want to forget the quick draw here.
No, and it's down to the left. Now she looks at it and realizes perhaps she should have clipped earlier.
Oh yeah, she's in such an uncomfortable position. Because she seems really, really good right now, so it's going to be unfortunate for her to do the move.
Yeah, and she goes for the point rather than the clip.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's impossible to clip in that position. You're going to have to do it before.
You can just see it. She's so off balance. You try to get the heel in to steady herself to get that left hand off. Couldn't get the heel because it's a terrible heel hook. Fourth though, 24.1. So if you're just joining us, welcome to Munich. My name is Matt Groom and I'm here with Sophia Yokoyama, Swiss athlete, giving some expert commentary here from an athlete's perspective of what's happening on the stage, out on the route. Sophia, having competed earlier on during the qualifying, not making it through, but we get the advantage of her expertise here. Hélène looks up into the sun.
A nice slow-mo of her in the hard section. But she was very much to the right. She seemed very good, but unfortunately comes off on the hard move.
Yeah, tricky for her.
Where a lot of athletes have fallen off.
So that was the slow motion shot. She twists in. And waves to the crowd as she says goodbye. So that might be enough. We'll have to see. Final few now. 4 athletes left.
Second French climber out.
Yeah, Manon Healy, what a season she's having.
I believe she also came back from an injury recently, and she's doing super well this season, so it's really nice to see her in semis at the European Champs.
Yeah, she is back in action. Had a strong World Cup season so far, and let's see if she's peaked here in Munich. Reminds herself of the route, she's really in the zone. Had a controversial finals in Villars where she climbed twice, having got short roped.
Yeah, so that's also one of the discussions I had with teammates. It's like the belayers have a lot of pressure on really belaying because you can debate anything.
Yeah, and part of the coach's job is to spot these infringements and to put these appeals in. Look at that heel, fully turned down, toes towards the ground. Up with the left hand. You can see there how the rope runs through the quick draw. That's what keeps the climbers safe on the wall. Very vertical positioning from her. You see how much chalk has come onto those holes. They were cleaned halfway through this. They're dirty again now.
And the crowd is so alive, it's so good to see.
It's great, isn't it? I mean, climbing is part of so many sports here in Munich, and it's fitted in beautifully. And I'm biased and I don't care, but we belong here, and it's great to see us on the big stage.
Yeah, and it's really in the town centre. Like,
yeah.
Anyone walking by will be like, oh, what's going on? Why not go check it out?
Exactly, yeah. Beach volleyball is to the, well, behind us in the stadium.
It's so huge.
So Manon Healy enters the cruxy moves now. 16 her score, 20th. And up there as our camera pans back, where the sun hits the volume, that's where she needs to get to, or around there, in order to get a finals place.
She seems to be quite comfortable right now, clipping early on.
So this is the heel move. And we've actually seen a few starting to avoid the heel, trying to get a toe in behind. And watch that heel.
Sticks, nice.
Moves quickly through it as well.
There's tip marks on the volumes so the athletes know where they should grab the hold. She hasn't bumped up to the thumb catch. Seems to work out.
Yeah, and then look, manages to get the left foot.
Keeps the toe hook, yep. And goes for the intermediate foothold.
So Helene rests. Sorry, Manon Healy rests. Look, that's the toe she got in, and we saw Helene Gencourt miss that, try to get a high heel where the volume gets less good.
She's a bit more than halfway through the route and halfway through her time. She's not even crimping it. She's using her little pinky and just like latching onto it. That's actually a really good way of holding the hold because it also takes less pressure from the forearms.
Because you're not putting so much through the fingers.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
It's more like of a hand position and
that was different. Very static into it.
But yep, she moved her foot right and she goes right hand onto it. And now flips, new high points.
So Manon Healy into the lead. That long quick draw right by her face, a good position to clip from. And now we're in uncharted territory.
Wow, she's doing so well. The theory behind clipping usually is the higher you are, the better. So then you don't need to like lose power in like bending your arm, but if you're in a good position to clip like she was, then it was good for her to clip the full. And now this is a bit of the zigzag part. And we get to these new, I've never seen these round holds which are just above her before. Hopefully she'll get to them.
Yeah, she goes to the tick marks. Look how bad the feet are through here. Oh, it was a foot bobble as she came down. But a high point for Manon Healy, way further than anyone else. 35 her score.
Well, that's a confirmed final for her.
So Manon Healy, we will see her tonight.
Yeah.
Well, this afternoon.
Yeah, she doesn't have a lot of rest. Oh no.
She's got a few hours. I think it's the schedule's packed. I'll check it out. 4 o'clock, the women's lead final.
Okay, yeah, no, she's got quite time.
Well, what a
great fight.
So if you are watching not in Europe, that's 5 hours, 15 minutes time.
And that's also such a tension move. Like, she's on a sloper, and you want as little swing as possible on those kind of moves because it's just so bad, and you're just full on tension in the shoulders and compressing at the same time, and you have to move your feet.
Yeah, there's a lot, and those feet are small and in the sun and kind of awkwardly beneath you. It's hard to see them. Okay, well, that is a new part of the wall. We've still got the head wall to come. When we say head wall, it's the more vertical part that comes out after the roof.
It does seem shorter than the usual ones because the roof is just so long, and I feel like Villar and Chamonix, well, Chamonix is a new wall, I didn't see it.
Yeah, Chamonix was long though, the head wall.
Yeah, so this one's really short, so the climbers have a lot more to climb in the overhang, and it's a lot more tiring. And
yeah, they enter the overhang almost immediately. I mean, the second draw is overhanging.
Yes.
So Jessica Pilz comes out, and what a veteran, what legend Jessie is. Climbing in the Olympics, has won World Championships, and she would love to add a European gold to her collection.
Yeah, she's also a nice climber to watch. Very fluid.
And she's probably had the worst run of luck I think I've ever seen for an athlete in the World Cup circuit this year. Just so close to making finals so many times, or foot slips, or things that went wrong.
Yeah, it's climbing, especially lead, is one of those sports where you really have only one attempt, and a foot slip, you really can't control the foot slip, so it's so horrible when it happens, and it happens every time.
Yeah, you just somehow have to put it behind you, and she did recently, and Brianne Son did well there, but Jessie looking in good shape as well. One of the athletes who had to train speed during the last Olympics. That's now changed to just be boulder and lead for that combined.
She also did well during bouldering qualies.
So looking good.
Yeah, looking good for a combined result.
Yeah, and she's immediately into this overhang we're talking about. Look at the quick draws hanging down. That's an indication of how overhanging it is. And remember, we've had falls here. Look at the graphic. Georgia Tessio falling early. Van Essen as well. She took an early slip, so it is possible down there. But Jessie has that experience. You'll know, especially with timing, when to rest, when to go.
Yeah, I think really for that, you just need to lead, climb, lead, climb, lead, climb, lead, climb. Understand also how your body works, if you can rest more or less. Like I said before, resting is important, but if you're a climber who can't really recuperate on holds, then you don't want to do it as much. Although if you're a good lead climber, you can recuperate on bad holds, then you can just rest anyway.
Is that something you train in training, is resting on holds like that?
If you don't do it in training, you won't be able to do it in comps. So inevitably, you're going to have to do it in training.
Oh, so not only do you have to do endurance, you have to hang around on bad holds as well and shake out.
And shake out, yeah. When I was training a lot for lead, it was one of the things that my coach would say. It's like, get on those terrible holds and just shake out and stay in as long as you can. I'm like, but I'm not feeling any better. It's like, what's the matter?
Yeah, it's little gains, isn't it?
Her heel didn't come off.
Oh, but there was a slip.
Yeah, there's so many volumes here. on the spot, I guess it could be really hard to read because you don't really know where to position your hands and feet. You've also got the cover holds above the, what are they called?
Yeah, the bolt blockers. So the black holds you can see on the wall, they're dotted around. That's to prevent the athlete standing on the bolt. Oh, Jessie goes up, holds the jump. Nice. And then look down at her foot there, making sure she didn't get too tangled up in the rope. Oh, up with the right hand.
She doesn't seem too good.
Oh. Jessie comes down, 4th at the moment.
But she does get the plus, so
it can bump her up a bit. So that could be enough.
So does that actually put Hannah in finals?
We'll have to see the scoreboard in a minute, but yeah.
Hannah's got 27, and that makes Jessie 21, and everyone else is below. And there's 2 climbers left.
Yeah, Hannah Moyle, there you go, 3rd. As I've just seen the scoreboard.
Yeah. So Hannah Moyle is in finals.
So Team Germany gets an athlete into the finals in their home championships. Great to see. So cross through with the left foot. This was the boulder move that she made look pretty good. It's body position, isn't it? You can see the differences when we watch so many athletes fall.
Yeah, you can see the 90 degrees that's with her arms, so she's really as underneath as a hold as possible, and then just gives enough power to then get to the hold.
So, should be finals for Jessie. Starting to take shape here. 2 athletes to go. Mia Krampel and Janja Garnbret, our last 2 out, both from Team Slovenia. And the crowd has grown here in the stadium. There's a real party atmosphere going on. There's a little seated grass area that everyone's having picnics. But the sun is beating down on them. And back there, I can only imagine the tension backstage in the shadows of the columns.
So there is a lot more shade now on the wall too.
Yeah, it's almost fully in. Even the top's starting to come in. Mia Krampel is out. Qualified in 2nd place for this semi-final. Great performance during qualies for her. The athletes climbing 2 routes in qualification, just 1 in semi-finals and finals. Mia Krampel off the ground and underway.
Yeah, I feel like also lead now is becoming a lot more like a couple of boulders in a row that you need to get through with enough endurance. Although before it was just like pure endurance, but now it's a lot more physical.
Yeah, and we're also seeing boulders almost get longer sometimes, I think, especially with these new double zones for the combined that has to come in.
Yeah, that's going to be a struggle to understand.
It is going to be interesting. We will be working it out as we go along later on in the week. So Mia Krampel is looking good at the moment. Low feet, straight arms as she rests. That's a good resting position with those arms like that. You don't want to be resting with bent arms necessarily, although some athletes do, and also when you get sort of at this level, resting positions change somewhat.
I guess that also depends on training, because a lot of people, like if you're one-arm hangboarding, a lot of people hangboard straight arm, and then a lot of people are really good at just staying at 90 or bent arm, and I find that amazing because it's so hard to keep your arms bent. So maybe, depending on how good you are in that, that's also how you rest.
Yeah, and it's the differences between a sort of amateur resting position and a pro resting position is up there as well. It's one of those things I always get taught when I first started climbing. Straight arms, always straight arms, but it's not necessarily the case when you're at this level.
You've got to learn to really like let go and relax, but also at the same time not relax too much.
Yeah, keep the body tension. And she's deep into the overhang now. This is the move, this left. You can see it all chalked up, the yellow volume. There it is, the heel goes in. Now it needs to stay through this sequence. And it immediately went.
Yeah, she does lose at the end, but she had the hold, so that's good for her.
Now get to toe. Bumps up the hand onto the screw on with the thumb.
Okay, she put the toe hook into clip.
She's looking powerful in that position.
She's looking good.
Right.
Goes for the intermediate hold. And rests on it.
So she's using the foothold with the left. 24 her score, nearing a semi-finals position. And I think that's her in for her.
She looks also so fresh right now. But we get to the sloper parts, which is a bit harder, but she goes through it. Will she be able to clip?
High heels, looking comfortable in that awkward position. And now only Manon Healy has been this high on the wall.
She double clips in the same position.
Now there's a lot of climbing packed into the next few meters because she has to go to the left and then back to the right.
And then back to the left again onto the slopers.
2 minutes 44, so time will not be an issue. Oh, resting, look at that.
Yeah, just because the next part is less overhang doesn't mean it gets easier. Usually the holds get a lot worse. And body position-wise, you need to be it gets a lot harder.
Yeah, and she needs to start spotting these footholds now. You can see them leading off towards the right. Oh, rocks up on that crimp with the heel.
Brings her hips in with the heel, which is actually a smart move. And even was able to readjust a bit. Oh, yeah, that hold is so bad.
Yeah, it was body position, I think, more than anything that did for her there. But she's in the final, second place. Only Manon Healy above that.
Yeah, Manon was able to hold on to the move.
Mia looking almost disappointed. She won't, I mean, there's a big scoreboard, so I think she'll know she's in finals now. She looks up. Really looking really disappointed, but it was a great performance from her.
Yeah, it was. She climbed. Oh, her heel hook slipped a bit. But yeah, it's.
I think she had more in the tank.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She probably thought she could do much better or get a bit further, and so obviously in the end you still end a bit disappointed, but can be happy with your performance because she managed to qualify.
Yeah, she's through, so she will go away and rest. Do the magic the athletes do to recover between these intense climbs. She'll be back in action later on.
I find it really hard to, like, they've got semis now, finals tonight, but then you have a good 6-hour break in between, and having that little downtime, resting, and then having to warm up again and ready to go hard is just so hard to do.
Our final athlete walks onto the stage, a lady who's used to competing in front of thousands. She's an Olympic gold medalist. She's won everything there is to win, and she's on form this year in terms of lead climbing especially. Deciding not to compete in the boulder season, apart from the first one, which she won. And she competed yesterday in the bouldering.
Bouldering now, yeah.
She told the crowd that she didn't know if she still had it for bouldering. I think she does.
She does.
So Janja Garnbret is underway. But she is not infallible. Slips can happen. Even Janja can make mistakes. So can she hold on through this tricky women's semi-final route? No one has topped out so far.
Yeah, because a lot of slips can happen here. We've seen a lot of them. And it can even happen to the best.
Yeah, and we've seen a bit of a different style from Janja this year. She's some of those sort of little flare moves, those little tweaks, those dynamic moves, she's cut down a bit, especially low. Climbing a bit more statically and safer.
Yeah, probably a bit safer just to be sure that she gets in and then gives it all.
Yeah, you can see almost the moment she knows she's past the high point, she just relaxes and the Janja of old comes back and she has that signature Janja flick move that we've seen so often. Right, let's see what she can do.
It must be hard mentally knowing that the crowd expects you to do so well.
And she feels pressure. Like I've chatted to her about this before. Like, you know, she knows the weight of expectation on her shoulders.
Yeah, especially for the Olympics, like everyone was expecting her to win. Everyone. And so just knowing that, the pressure is huge, and having to get over it, get through it, and do well was amazing to watch. Oh, she skips.
Doesn't need the high heel, just bump through it. Right, let's watch how Janja does this sequence. She's looking for the heel, making room for that heel with the fingers. Toes turned down.
So here she was resting with the heel hook, but she wants to be careful because that...
Oh!
And she holds on.
Oh, that was a big slip.
Yeah.
I mean, we were close up on the camera, but that was a huge moment for Janja.
And she held on 2 hands with a big slip. But I guess that hold is good, but still, that was amazing from her.
Yeah, Janja will need now just to recompose herself. Underneath with the toe. Nervous. This is exciting. Crosses so statically though. This is what she's good at this. She's good at recomposing herself, and now she's into a finals position, so we will see her later on.
And she flips with the terrible slow curve.
That bumps Camilla Moroni out of the top 8. Eliska Adamovska is through.
Yeah.
And now Janja nears the top. And I think we were talking about Janja maybe relaxing. I think from the crowd's reaction, she probably knows now she's into safety, but she likes climbing last in finals.
I mean, she climbs last all the time, except
yeah,
volleys.
She's used to it, isn't it? It's the natural position for it. And
she has largely enough time left.
Yeah, and she will use it. She's very good at timing. So Janja shaking out. Last climber out here in this semi-final. Drops down, drives the hips in and up.
She seems to be looking onto the volume already, but there are 2 cribs to the left before.
It seemed like she wanted to go for a big move up there. And it's blind because she's right underneath it. Sitting in third at the moment.
She really does seem to be eyeing the volume.
Oh, she does go all the way.
So she completely skips the 2 cribs.
I mean, that's instinct, isn't it? I mean, I know she would have read it, but to know that you can do that move.
I guess it also, she made that decision on the spot. She manages to do the move where Manon came off.
Reaches up and clips, and now that's the head wall, still in the sun. It gets more vertical up there.
She's in first place.
Oh, can we see a top from Janja? She topped the quali, but this is where she's starting to struggle. Look how bad the crimps are blocked.
The crimps are very small.
Out she goes. And then she will rock up, and she will get a moment to rest if she can pull through the roof here.
There are some screw-ons on the volumes.
Shakes out. Oh, rocking up. Pure power from Janja.
And now she's going to have to push over to the left. So much tension in the shoulders.
Ah, keeps it together. Now these holds on the left were driven in from Ukraine, especially made there in the last couple of days. A nice little touch, and Janja is working so hard.
Seems to be fighting hard here.
Breathing heavy as she's fighting the sun in her face.
And time, she's got 40 seconds left.
You can see the red bar creeping towards the right, indicating almost the end.
Oh, it's so nice watching her fight and not...
Oh, finally she comes down, but 44.0 her score. She qualifies for the finals in first position.
She did amazing.
That just mistiming the swing down as she falls. And look how hard she had to work through that. And she enjoyed that. She always says she wants a fight. She wants to be challenged.
Yeah, it's so nice to not see her top because she really then has to put on a fight. And we could tell by when she was at the top that she was fighting hard.
Yeah, she has a smile on her face. I think she enjoyed that. Can't undo the knot. She's just too pumped. And she takes a moment down on the front just to acknowledge the people watching. And then, yeah, finally undoes that knot. Well, let's see, shall we, the moment where she had an issue. This is it. So that heel slipped while she was resting, and she had to hold everything. This was the moment.
She's resting. She luckily has 2 hands on the hold once she slips on, because if she only had one, she would have unfortunately been off the wall.
So that was that sequence. That was her moment during the route, but she held it well and didn't really look bothered, just realized that she'd gone, had, as you said, 2 hands on the crimp.
Yeah.
Which is a horrible crimp, seeing that slow shot.
Yeah, no, it was really impressive what she did there.
She is being interviewed down at the front of the stage now. She's just said, finally a hard route. Oh, that was the foot. So Janja having to battle throughout that. A hard route for her, a challenge.
I mean, her foot did also slip. Her right foot, so maybe she could have topped out, but she still said she had to fight hard.
Yeah, look, that's not even a crimp. There's a bit of an edge to it, but not a lot. And they've been in the sun as well. Slopey crimp, yeah. The worst kind.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we are nearly to the end of our broadcast. I'm here with Sophia Yokoyama in the commentary box, and we have a packed schedule here today and tomorrow in terms of semi-finals and finals. Hopefully you guys can hear that. I'll shut up for a bit so we can hear Janja. Oh, there we go. Janja exits the stage, and that is confirmation of our leaderboard. Janja Gamrot, Manon Healy, Mia Krampel, Jessica Pilz, Hannah Moyle, Alexandra Totkova, Yevgenia Kazbekova makes the final. She climbs so early on in the standings.
Yeah.
And Eliska Adamovska, our final 8. Vera fought for Camilla Moroni, pushed down 24.1 with the same score. That'll be due to count back. She gets bumped out. And then that is the rest of the women who haven't made it through to tonight's final, this afternoon's final, I should say. As we skip through the list, Sophia, that was exciting. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed these lead semis. I usually think it takes a lot of time and can get quite boring in the end, but this was actually fun to watch.
It really was, yeah. That was exciting all the way. Nice separation and interesting sequences for the athletes having to change their ways as the crowd start.
Now it's soon bouldering semis.
It is soon bouldering